A pleasant day to my dear Professor Mr. Rosalier Sebastian and my dear classmates. I am Venlita Garces Atwo. I am going to share with you my topic today about big personality traits. Before we go on to the details, I have to share with you the pre-video of this topic.
Trait psychology is an accessible way of looking at personality science. See, we use traits in everyday life to describe ourselves, describe others, and our behaviors. But which traits bring us all together as humans, and which one separates us as individuals? So in the past couple videos, I've described how personality psychologists have narrowed down the infinite list of traits to the most important traits that are present in all people. These traits are usually presented on a spectrum. For example, extroversion is frequently a trait present in important personality studies. All people display some levels of extroversion, but some people are definitely more extreme extroverts than others. As personality psychology has evolved, the number of important traits has changed. The so-called happy medium has included 5 traits that are present in some degree among all people. In this video, I'm going to be talking about these 5 traits and the 6th one that has made its way into popular personality psychology. So, the original big 5 traits are also known as the Ocean model or the Canoe model. Ocean stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. So let's take a look at each one of these individually. The first one is openness to experience. Now, most of these traits are actually pretty self-explanatory. The openness to experience trait describes people who are curious about the world around them and they feel comfortable trying out new things. These people tend to enjoy creative activities and are more inclined to exploring different areas of life or alternative ideas. People who score low on this scale usually don't break out of their comfort zone very often. Different activities, routines, or ideas may make them feel uncomfortable. The number 2 is conscientiousness, and I know it's a big word, but people who are more conscientious tend to pay more attention to detail and they put more effort into organizing their everyday activities. On the extreme end, you might call some people OCD. These people are more likely to plan out every detail of a vacation itinerary or reread their work a handful of times before they turn it in. Now, on the other hand, people who score low in terms of conscientiousness are usually more likely to let things happen without planning or organizing. In fact, on the extreme end of not being conscientious, some psychologists call this impulsiveness. Now, this is a good time to reiterate that a high score on all of these traits does not make you a better or a worse person. Depending on your values and the culture that you're raised in, you may view conscientiousness as a positive or a negative trait. In fact, like I said earlier, too much conscientiousness is associated with OCD disorders. Now, it's important to remember that personality tests will not tell you if you're a good person, they just tell you which traits you have and how they influence your decisions. Number 3 is extroversion. So extroverts are more likely to respond positively to the stimuli in the outside world. They feel more comfortable around lots of people, and whenever lots of things are happening around them. They feel refreshed and energized after they get done talking to a group of people. Introverts, on the other hand, prefer to eliminate outside stimuli and focus inward. They actually feel drained after they talk to a whole bunch of people. You can also find introversion and extroversion on the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator personality quiz, which is something I'll talk about in a later video. Number 4 is agreeableness. People who are more agreeable are more willing to take action in order to make peace with others. Agreeable people are also more likely to be patient with others. Now, these type of people might sacrifice what they actually want just for the sake of others, or maybe to let go of angry feelings quicker. Researchers have put competitiveness on the other side of the scale here. So you're either agreeable or you're competitive. Now, this trait still has some debate in the personality psychology world because, honestly, not very many people want to be called disagreeable, which is why they have renamed it competitive. And lastly is number 5, neuroticism. Now, this is the final big 5 trait, and it's also known as emotionality by other personality theorists. People who score high on neuroticism are more likely to experience heightened feelings of anxiety, paranoia, depression, or aggression. Now, these feelings may have a large impact on the way that a person behaves or the way that they perceive the world around them. Now, just like the N in the PIN model that I talked about earlier, people high in neuroticism usually have higher highs and they also have lower lows. Now, I also want to let you know that there is a new development. It's called the honesty-humility trait. Personality psychology is always evolving, and researchers have recently added a 6th trait to the Big 5 model. It's called honesty and humility. The addition of this trait has actually called for some tweaks to the acronym. Researchers have added an H to the Big 5. They started to represent extroversion with an X, and then they changed neuroticism to emotionality, and then they can change changed the acronym to form these 6 traits, and they call it the Hexaco model of personality. Basically the same thing as a Big Five. The honesty humility trait was starting to be added when the Big Five started to expand beyond American studies. Researchers began to assess whether or not the Big Five were present in languages other than just English, and as the research continued, they realized that all of the Big Five traits were present, and honesty and humility kept appearing as an additional trait. Now, some personality psychologists believe that the honesty-humility factor is the polar opposite of the traits found in the Dark Triad. The Dark Triad is another personality quiz that I'll be talking about next, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. A person who is more honest and humble.
Before we go on to the details, these are the 5 big personality traits. First, openness. Second, conscientiousness. Third, extraversion. Fourth, agreeableness. And the fifth, neuroticism. The 5 basic personality traits is a theory developed in 1949 by D.W. Fiske and later expanded upon by the other researchers, including Norman in the year 1967, Smith in the same year, Kohlberg 1981, and McRae and Costa in the year 1987. When trying to remember these big 5 traits, you might find it helpful to use the acronym which is OCEAN, which stands for openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. These are the 5. Openness is a characteristic that includes imagination and insight. These traits describes the people who are having an eagerness to learn and experience new things. It also leads to having a broad range of interest and being more adventurous when it comes to decision making. People who are high in these character traits are very creative. They are open to trying new things. They are focused on tracking new challenges, and they are happy to think about abstract concepts. But people who are low in these traits are dislike change. They does not enjoy new things. They resist new ideas, and they are not very imaginative. And also, they dislike abstract or theoretical concepts. The second personality trait is conscientiousness. It is a trait that includes high level of thoughtfulness, good impulse control, a goal-directed behaviors. This organized the structure approach is often found within people who work in science and even high retail finance, where detail orientation and organization are required as a skill test. Those people who are high in these traits are likely spends time in preparing. They finishes important tasks right away. They pays attention to detail and they enjoys having a set of schedule. But people who are low in these traits are more likely dislike structure and schedules. They make messes and does not take care of things. They fails to return things or put them back where they belong. They procrastinates important tasks and they fails to complete necessary or assigned tasks. Highly conscientious people tend to be organized and mindful of details. The second, personality. The third is extraversion, or oftenly called as extroversion. It is a trait that many will have come across in their own lives. It's identifiable and widely recognizable as someone who gets energized in the company of others. It is also characterized by excitability, sociability, talkativeness, assertiveness, and high amount of emotional expressiveness. People who are high in these traits are enjoy being the center of attention. They like also to start the conversation. They enjoy meeting new people. They has a wide social circle of friends and acquaintances. They find also it easy to make new friends. They feel energized when around other people, and they say things before not thinking about them. But people who are low in these traits feel exhausted when having to socialize a lot. They find it difficult to start even small conversations. They dislike also making small talks. They carefully think things through before speaking, and they dislike being the center of attention. If you are high in these traits, you are described as outgoing and tend to gain energy in social situations. Being around others, you are help them feel energized and excited. But if you are low in this trait, you tend to be more reserved and have less energy to expend in social settings. Social events can feel draining for them, and introverts often require a period of solitude and quiet in order to recharge. The third is the fourth big personality trait is agreeableness. This personality dimension includes attributes such as trust, altruism, kindness, affection, and other pro-social behaviors. Those who are high in these personality traits has a great deal of interest in other people. They care about others. They feel empathy and concern for other people. They enjoy also helping and contributing to the happiness of others, and they assess others who are in need of help. So people who are high in these agreeableness traits tend to be more cooperative to others. But those who are low in these traits, they take little interest in others. They does not they do not care about how other people feel. They have a little interest in other people's problem. They insult and belittle others, and they manipulate others to get what they want. They tend to be more competitive and sometimes even manipulative. The The fifth personality trait is called neuroticism. It is a trait characterized by sadness, moodiness, and emotional instability. People who are high in this trait will experience a lot of stress, worry about many different things, get upset easily, experience dramatic shifts in mood, feels anxious, and struggles to bounce back after stressful events. If you are high in this trait, you are usually experience mood swings, anxiety, irritability, and sadness. But if you are low in these traits, you have to deal with you have to deal well with and stress. Rarely feel sad or depressed. You doesn't worry much, or you are very relaxed. The fifth personality trait. What factors influence the big five personality traits? Including the factors of these are nature and nurture. One study of the genetic and environmental underpinning of the five traits looked at 123 pairs of identical twins and 127 pairs of fraternal twins. The findings suggested that the heritability of its traits was 53% for extraversion, so there is only 47% for the nurture, 41% for agreeableness, 44% for conscientiousness, 41% for neuroticism, and 61% for openness. The second factor is age and maturity. Longitudinal, Longitudinal studies also suggest that these 5 personality traits tend to be relatively stable over the course of adulthood. One study of working age adults found that personality tended to be stable over a 4-year period and displayed little change as a result of adverse. What factors influence? To end this discussion, I want you to share the quote by Adio Risi. Fluid intelligence is not a big 5 personality traits. It's a measurement of one's ability to rapidly hear and apply a rule set. As an entrepreneur, you're rapidly dealing with different issues, and your ability to switch from one issue to another is very important. God bless and thank you for. To end this discussion, I want you to share the quote by Adio Risi. Floyd